Hey, welcome back to another episode of The Dex where we bring you the hot tips and strats for a different Pokemon each week. I'm Socialite Alex.
And I'm Pokekells. Today we're bringing it home to talk about one of the most pretentious house pets of the Pokemon world.
I'd say that's not fair, but it's true. Whether it's sharpening its claws on your face in Kanto or looking down on you from the rooftops of Alola, nobody wants to cross a Persian.
Does it ever weird you out that it's just named after a real breed of cat?
Nah, it more weirds me out that Alolan Persian looks like Garfield got suffocated. For real though, I love Alolan Persian. It's such a buster. It does whatever it wants to keep the upper paw.
And I love Cantonian Persian. It's so independent and it doesn't need you, but that makes you want it more, right? You know?
It's pure perfection.
It's positively amusing. Let's get started.
It's Persian! Persian have always been a favorite Pokemon of social elites, probably because everyone loves pets that remind them of themselves. They're full of self-importance and consider themselves to be smarter than their trainers. That makes them pretty hard to work with because they've got the instincts of wildcats and will turn on you at the smallest provocation.
Still, their elegance and beauty keep Persian popular, and trainers hold competitions comparing the silkiness of their Persian's fur, the size of the gems on their foreheads, and the grace of their walks, just like cat shows in the real world.
The Alolan variety of Persian are a huge source of pride among natives who consider it a symbol of wealth, and they are so well protected that it is very difficult to take an Alolan Persian out of Alola. Tourists that want to take one home have to go through rigorous inspections and paperwork before they're allowed, and everyone knows paperwork is the world's most effective behavioral deterrent. That's the DMV.
Which is weird, because unlike most Alolan forms, Cantonian Persian and Alolan Persian have very little differences in behavior, aside from the Pokedex stating that Alolan Persian has perhaps more accentuated personality traits than the Cantonian Persian. Essentially, they're more prideful and more brutal, but the Alolan people are obsessed with them. The difference, it seems, comes down to pride.
Pride? How do you figure?
Well, most Alolan forms developed naturally in response to an external environmental force. You know, like Marowak turning into fire types to deal with the grass types, right?
Yeah.
But Alolan Persian was developed by the people in Alola through selective breeding.
Kind of like how we develop different dog and cat breeds by pairing animals with desired traits?
Exactly. Alolans choose the Persians with the softest fur and the roundest faces, have them make little baby eggs that hatch into Meowths that evolve into Persians with even softer fur and even rounder faces. It's done all the time in the real world and sometimes to the detriment of the breed itself.
Whoa, really? I didn't know about that. I love cats with little round faces. What do I need to know to be a good cat dad?
Oh my god, I thought you'd never ask.
Hey, where are you going? Is there a segment? Why are you hanging a sign on our office door that says the Dex Animal Hospital is open on it? What is that? Are you flicking the needle on a syringe right now to make sure that there's no air in it? What are you doing? Are you taking the blood pressure of a pig?
Hey, thanks for coming. I'm Kelly. I'll be your registered veterinary technician today. I hear you're interested in Persian. I'm sure you know that Persian the Pokemon is closely tied to Persian cats, especially with their history of selective breeding. Don't worry, I can go over everything with you so that you'll be totally prepared for your Alolan buddy when you finish all that paperwork to get it here. So I'm sure you picked an Alolan Persian because of its darling round face. It is hard not to love. But let's start with a little bit of history about the Persian cat. Though their ancestors originated in Persia or Iran, the development of the breed took place mostly in France, Italy, and Britain. The early cats were called Khorasan cats, named for the province that they came from. They and the Angora breed were some of the only long-haired cats of the time. Back then, they looked almost exactly the same, and in the 1870s, it was up for debate if they should even be called different breeds. Though as breeders began to favor a rounder head and larger eyes, the Persian as we know it gradually began to look more distinct. This is where the traditional Persian look was developed. But in the 1950s, a spontaneous mutation in red and tabby-colored Persians caused an overly exaggerated flattening of the face, which was dubbed peak-faced after Pekingese dogs. Breeders who liked this look more began to seek out cats with the mutation to develop faces that were more and more flat, and they became very fashionable. This led to somewhat of a division between Persian breeders, those who favor the traditional Persian and those who swear by the peak-faced. It becomes controversial when you take into account that breeding peak-faced cats promotes and exacerbates a lot of health problems. Essentially, the look was caused by a deformity of the skull which narrows and squashes the sinus cavity. This leads to tear duct drainage issues, respiratory problems, and underbites so pronounced that some cats even have trouble eating. But that's the trouble with selective breeding for looks. We did the same thing with English bulldogs, and now their skulls are so large that every single one of them has to be born via C-section because they can't naturally pass through the birth canal. Most Persian cats I see at the clinic come in for eye infections or noses crusted over with snot, but as long as they're considered adorable, breeders keep breeding them that way. But don't walk out on me yet, this is important. I'm not saying that anybody who wants one or has one is a bad person. I am not here to judge. I have a snub-nosed dog myself, and I love him like a son. You just have to be prepared to be spending significantly more on veterinary bills for your flat-faced Alolan Persian than your Uncle Giovanni's Cantonian one. Health issues are not an if, they're a when and a how severe. You are the best trainer in the world, so be responsible. I know you'll do great. And when your new little baby arrives, make sure to bring it back so that I can get my cuddles in.
Whew, so that's why Alolan Persians are so full of themselves. They're at the center of the debate for which kind of Persian is better. You were in a rule there, Kels.
If there's one thing in the world that is more expansive than my knowledge of Pokemon, it's my knowledge of pet health and safety. I can't help but go deep in sometimes.
Well, make sure to go get your Persian vaccinated and wipe its eyes and face folds or whatever so it can be in prime shape to kick butt on the battlefield. A well-trained Persian lives up to its brutal reputation.
Today, we're offering up some strats to play dirty with the Alolan Persian on your side. Get ready for the set.
VGC 2017 Battle Strats are starting right now.
Kitty cats!
True to its nature, the new Alolan Persian is Dark type, and it's got some great underhanded support moves that can really make this thing into a perfect sidekick for big boys who need to turn her to a setup, like Snorlax. Start with a timid one and EV train it in speed, special defense, and leave a smaller chunk for some physical defense too.
First turn out, since this is primarily a support set, you're going to want to identify the threat to your partner and then use Fake Out on it. Granted, this might leave you open for a hit from your other opponent, but Persian's ability Fur Coat doubles its defense with no downside, so it probably won't be too bad, but just in case, give it a Mego Berry to hold.
Second turn, keep the support trainer rolling with a well-placed parting shot. This cuts your target's attack and special attack and also swaps Persian out, priming it for another Fake Out next time it comes in. But if you want to take extra good advantage of this, switch in an Intimidate user or a Tapu who can set up a terrain for a whole other layer of benefits.
This is how you're going to want to play about 90% of the time, but on the off chance that you can sniff out a Roar or a Haze, I'd also recommend bringing Taunt to the party and using it liberally whenever it makes sense. It can even work against other Pokemon with Taunt.
And finally, for the Beast Boosters and Sword Dancers in your life, there's always Foul Play, which uses your opponent's current attack stat against them for Dark-type stab damage. I know it's like the most cliched Dark-type attack, but hey, when it works, it works.
And that's how you win battles with Alolan Persian's big, dumb, cute face. But, of course, that's not the only way to train it, so as always, here are a few random meows. Random meows. It was bad.
Sometimes you may find yourself in that all too familiar situation of wishing that if only this guy could move before that guy, you could totally win the match. Quash is a move that sends whoever's hit with it straight to the back of the speed line. It's not a diverse move, but in this specific situation we're describing, it's a solid Dark-type tool.
For another good tool with a lot of fun uses, try Feint. It doesn't do much damage itself, but it also happens to lift the effect of most protecting moves, and sometimes your opponent can really find themselves counting on that to survive. Nothing wrong with a little surprise attack once in a while, yeah.
And finally, like we said, this cat works really well with Snorlax, but if you want to take down an enemy Snorlax, the best way to do that is with Torment. It prevents Snorlax from using his key move Recycle over and over, and if you know anything about the pacing of VGC 2017, you know that can be a make or break play under the right conditions.
And that's it, Persian, the cat that thinks it's better than you.
That's every cat though.
True. If you love cats and want to look great while holding your cat, head to theyeti.com/thedex or click the link in the description to get one of our beautiful pink deck shirts, available in solid and tie-dye and perfect for every human.
Or if you want to team up with some like-minded Pokemon lovers, click the link in our description to the official Dex Discord, where there's something for every Pokemon fan, and the Dex Destiny clan, which is so good that we had to make a second one because we are huge and mighty guardians. For more mind-blowing Pokemon facts, click one of these boxes and be sure to give some mental props out to our Patreon patrons who not only support us financially, but also pat our backs and tell us it's okay when Wallace steals the trash and throws up on our bed. I'm Socialite Alex.
And I'm Pokekels. Tune in next time for another deep diving episode of
The Dex.